Oh, the depth of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God. In the 9th century, Jews began to observe the holy month of Elul, as they do to this day. This year, it began on August 12th and will end at sundown September 11th, so we're in the middle of it now. The holy month of Elul focuses on God's desire that humankind live in love. During Elul, observers reflect on God's attributes of mercy and compassion. Well, 9 centuries before that practice began, Jesus, in his wisdom and knowledge of the riches and wisdom of God, traveled with his friends and followers to Caesarea Philippi. He left his home in Galilee to show the disciples that seat of empire there, that Roman stronghold, so that they might better understand God's ways and the stark contrast between it and the attributes of empire. Jesus had been teaching, touching, feeding, healing, and walking alongside his followers. And at the foot of the hill of Caesarea Philippi, they looked upon a massive cliff face that was just covered with carved shrines and images of kings, governors, despots, earthly power. A place where empire announces itself, with the symbols of hierarchy and hubris, wealth and human authority, the reminders of who matters and who has power and who belongs and who doesn't. And right there, standing in the shadow of all that earthly power, is Jesus. Not a king, not a ruler surrounded by soldiers. Jesus, the servant, the healer, the teacher, the one who welcomes the outsider, lifts up the lowly, and ultimately dies the death of an outcast. And Jesus whispers into the silence of that moment to ask, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" And they give him the answers that they'd heard, all the ways that people are trying to make sense of Jesus by putting him into categories they already understood. But then Jesus makes the question personal. But who do you say that I am? And now the question is no longer about what people believe, it's about us. And Peter answers, "You are the Christ. You are the one who shows us the way to the living God." And perhaps Peter is beginning to understand that God's power does not look like the power carved into that cliff. The disciples are beginning to understand the depth of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God. The world says power means domination, but Jesus says power looks just like service. The world says greatness means being above others. Jesus says greatness means lifting others up. The world says security comes through exclusion, expulsion, excommunication. Jesus shows us a way of hospitality, healing, mercy, justice, compassion, and love. And that's the revelation the disciples are beginning to see. And then Jesus speaks about binding and loosing, about what is bound on earth and in heaven, what is loosed on earth and in heaven. And I think we can hear those words as something very immediate, because heaven, in the teaching of Jesus, is not simply a distant place we hope to reach someday. Heaven is the reign of God. It is God's loving presence becoming real among us. And when we pray, "Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven," we're praying for heaven to break into this world here and now. So, what do we bind? We bind ourselves to one another through love. We create places of safety and belonging. We make room for people to experience dignity, peace, and the promise of God. And what do we loose? We loose compassion, mercy, generosity, healing, love. We can also, though, loose something else. We can unleash racism and xenophobia, exclusion, hatred, and systems that tell some people you are worthy, while telling others you are not. And when we do that, we do not simply make social choices. We're deciding what kind of world will exist around us. And that is both good news and hard news, because if heaven is meant to be experienced here, then our choices matter. How we welcome the stranger matters. How we respond to those who are different from us matters. The boundaries we create matter, because our choices can either make room for the reign of God or push it away. And so perhaps Jesus' question is not only, who do you say that I am? Perhaps there's another question hidden inside it. If you know who I am, what will you do next? Will you follow the way of love? Will you refuse the world's hierarchy of human worth? Because it is easy to say you are the Christ and harder to live as though it is true. So today, we imagine ourselves standing there beneath that cliff, surrounded by the monuments of human power, and then turn and see Jesus asking, who do you say that I am? May our answer not only be something we say with our lips, may it become something we live with our lives. May we bind ourselves to love. May we loose mercy upon the earth. May we make room for the reign of God. And may the world around us catch a glimpse, not of some distant heaven, but of heaven arriving here and now among us.